If you have any questions, you can type them into the chat question section on the left-hand side, and Bree will answer those as they're pertinent or at the end. And again, everybody has been placed on mute except for myself and Bree. Ha 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 ha. Just kidding. So welcome, and so Bree from Chesapeake is with us, and she is a a clay goddess and a dog lover, and I know I have paw prints of all my dogs, so I am very excited to have you here, and I know our members are. So thank you, Bree. I'm going to go ahead and turn it over to you. So you can go ahead and get started. And again, if anyone has any questions, type them in, and Bree will get to them as she can.
Okay, fantastic. Thank you, Laura. So we are going to get started by talking about some paw prints, and I have never done a webinar like this, so we're going to see if I can advance the slides. It's going to be the first step. Oh, there we go, and it's up. So we're going to talk about how to make a successful paw print event with clay today. So we will talk about lots of different things, but I was slightly concerned that people were going to sign up for this webinar just to see cute puppy videos. So I went ahead and made a slide of just puppy videos, or puppy pictures, so that everyone could see those right off the bat so we can get started. So, you know, you can adore the cute puppy videos, or the cute puppy pictures, and now we can get going on what we're actually going to be covering for this webinar. We're going to talk about preparing for a paw print event, basic safety with unknown dogs, because not everyone is super comfortable with dogs, and especially unknown ones. How to make a flawless paw print that is going to be successful, that your customers are going to be happy with. Finishing tips to make them look beautiful. And lastly, we're going to talk about networking and marketing ideas, because it's so incredibly important to get people to come to your event that you have to do the work up front to be able to get those customers in the door or to your booth or whatever you plan to do. I want you guys to notice that on this agenda, we are not talking about firing or basic clay knowledge. So if you have those sorts of questions, please feel free to call me at Chesapeake, and we can talk about concerns that you have with firing or those sorts of things, but we're not going to cover that in this webinar, because if anyone has taken Dirt to Dollars, I've seen some of you guys on the left side. I can see who's listening in, and we have some Dirt to Dollars people here, but you know, we can cover all of those things on the phone, or we can take a class or things like that, but we're not going to cover those today. So the next slide is coming up. Okay, so preparing for a successful paw print event. There are some questions that you really need to ask yourself as a studio owner before you ever get started doing a paw print event. And the number one question that people always ask me is, how many slabs should I take to an event? And I can't answer that question for you. But what you can do is ask yourself some questions that will help you kind of figure out how big this event can be. And the first one is, how many slabs can I handle in my studio? If you have a 500 square foot studio, you're not going to be able to do 600 paw prints unless you plan to, you know, rent a small village or something to be able to have that much space. You can't have that many paw prints in your teeny tiny studio. If you have a giant studio, you know, you might be able to have more space, more shelving, things like that. So that's the first question you need to ask yourself. And the second one is, how many people are coming to this event? If you're doing, you know, a cancer fundraiser walk and you want to have a paw print event there because it's a Paws for the Cure or whatever, then if there are 10,000 people at the event, then, you know, it gives you an idea of how many people and how many dogs might want paw prints, versus if it is for a dog park that might only have 20 people that even go to that dog park, you're not probably going to need to bring 100 slabs. You know, that sort of thing, thinking about. The next question is, how many staff members do you need? Because If you are doing the paw print, there needs to be somebody else that's talking up your studio. You might need 2 people that are talking up your studio. Those are questions that you really want to have in mind before you start planning for an event. And the last one is, how am I going to get the finished slabs back to the studio? A lot of people forget this part, and they get so excited about they're doing this huge paw print event. You know, there are 500 people coming. I'm going to bring 100 slabs, and they get 100 finished slabs done, and they, drive a smart car. And then they're stuck, and they can't get these slabs back, and you're doing 20 laps back and forth to your studio. So just keeping those things in mind, borrowing someone's van or, using an SUV or something like that is really going to make it easier for you to be able to get those prints back to your studio safely without getting all mudged up. So the list on the right is just things to think about to bring for your paw print event. Tables, slabs, pens, tracking sheets. Some people get all the way there and forget that they have to track this wet clay. Whether you're going to track it on sheets of paper and write their name and what color they want their paw print to be, or if you're doing, your regular tracking sheets, like if people are painting pottery and you want to use that as a tracking sheet, but some way you're going to need to be able to track these pieces. The next thing is a foam sheet or hard plastic, and we're going to go over why you're going to need that in a little bit. I have a short video to show you how to do the paw print. Water to wash your hands and to, just in general to wash whatever you need. Paper towels, cash box and cash. Cookie cutters if you want to cut them out right at the event and have people choose whether they want a square, a circle, or a star, or whatever they want. Handouts for your studio. Bring your birthday party stuff. Bring your business cards, all of these things. The whole reason that you're doing the paw print event is sure to make some cash, but also to have all of these people see you, and it's a different market that you're not usually in. Maybe it's, it's in a different town or whatever, but you want to make sure that you are, you have all of the things that you need to be able to talk up your studio as much as possible. And the last one is wear boards or a tote to move your slabs back to your studio. So the next thing that we're going to talk about is dog safety. As soon as the slide comes up, there we go. So not everyone feels 100% comfortable in front of dogs, and dogs can totally feel emotion 100%. If you're scared of a dog, you should not be the person doing the paw print. You can be the person talking up your studio or the person taking the cash, but you are not going to want to be the person that does the paw print, because if you're terrified, the dog's going to feel that stress, and it's going to be a stressful situation. So you want to find someone who can do those sorts of things. Maybe you have a dog lover that is on staff, or, they don't even have to be on staff. Maybe a best friend or a, someone else that can do the paw print that likes dogs. And the next thing is always ask if a dog is friendly. We're going to talk a little bit about talking to the dog parent and figuring out what's going to be best for the paw print. But you want to always ask permission before greeting a dog, just in case for some reason the dog is not friendly. And just because the dog parent says the dog is friendly doesn't always mean that they're going to love you. Dogs have personalities just like people, and sometimes they don't like certain people, or they're stressed out in a certain situation. But here's a slide of how not to greet a dog. You don't need to love on them or hug them or, any of the crazy things. My personal favorite is kissing the strange dog on the top of its head on the bottom right, just for your added enjoyment. So the next slide is about questions to ask the dog parent, and I highly recommend that you write out a list of questions that you're going to ask them before you get going. And once you've done 3 or 4 paw print events, then you don't need your little cheat sheet anymore, but it's good to make sure that you ask all of the questions before you get going for your safety and for the safety of the dog. So the first question is always, is your dog friendly? Almost everyone says yes, because if their dog wasn't friendly, they probably wouldn't take it out into a paw print event. I have had people that have said no, and that their dog is not friendly, and I kind of give them the weird look like, then why do you think that I need to be touching your dog? But anyhow, if they do say no, then their response is always, for the safety of your dog and myself, I'm going to walk you through how to do the paw print. Because when they say they're not friendly and they genuinely really mean it, they're friendly to their owner, obviously. They're not cats. Sorry for the cat people out there. Um, so the next question that you need to ask is your dog okay with people touching their feet? If you're, that's a really easy way to say, is your dog going to bite me? Without them being offended or anything of the sort, because sometimes people will say, yeah, my dog is super friendly, but when you say, do they mind if people touch their feet? Then the dog parent goes, oh yeah, no, they don't really like that. And then that's a true indicator for you that means, perfect, that means that we're going to do a back paw. And if I can't even touch their paw at all, then the dog parent's going to do the paw print, and we're going to walk them through how to do it, because they can do it just as easy as you can. So greeting them, once you greet them, ask them if you can touch their paw. If you do pick up their paw and they don't pull away right away and like, what are you doing touching my feet? I like to play with the pads of their feet and separate them a little bit just to see if they're okay for the second, or if they're truly okay with me touching their paws. If if I'm touching the in between the pads of their feet and they're totally fine with it, I'm going to do a front paw because it's easier. You get more pressure from the weight of their shoulders, and it's just in general a little bit easier to be able to do a front paw. If they're pulling back a lot and they don't even like you touching the bottoms of their feet, then go ahead and we're going to do a back paw. It's not bad, not terrible. It's just a little bit trickier because of placement of where you need to be in relation to where the dog parent is. But if they do say no, then go back to the same response of, for your safety of the dog and myself, I'm going to walk you through how to do this paw print, and it's going to be flawless, and just reassure them that it's going to be totally fine. Okay? So we're moving on to the next one. Oh, there are some questions. Hi, Julie. It's very weird to not have a response back. I'm just imagining that you're saying hi. And Lois has a question. Oh, Lois, I do think you're missing something.
Lois, you may want to hop out and reload this. We are recording it, but it does appear, we're on slide number 9, so it does appear maybe your computer's frozen at this point. So you may want to log out and log back in.
Thank you, Laura.
You're welcome.
Okay, so back to safety with unknown dogs. Just keep in mind, big dogs or little dogs, all dogs should be treated with respect and understanding of the weird situation that they're in. So I did a little math, and the average person is about 32 times larger than a Chihuahua. So if you have a little teeny tiny dog and you're sticking their hand in something cold, wet, and sticky, just think if someone 32 times the size of you decided to grab your hand or your foot and stick it in clay, or something wet and sticky that you didn't know. And so some dogs that are totally fine could look at you like, what the heck are you doing to me? So just treat them with respect and understand that they might be totally fine and they might be totally stressed out. So it's good to keep that in mind when you're working. Okay. So the dog setup. So the easiest way to do a dog paw print is to have a dog on a leash standing up. If you notice, the dog in the picture is sitting down. It's an older dog, and so senior dogs often are sitting or even laying. I just recently did a paw print with a dog that was dying, and his only option was laying. And so we made it work. It just makes it extra tricky, and you have to be willing to, make a couple of adjustments and bring a couple of extra slabs just in case you mess up. And, you can do it until you get the right one. But the easiest thing is if they're standing. And it's easiest because if they're standing, they have their weight equal pressure on all 4 paws. And so what we're going to do is we're going to pick up a paw and make them put more pressure on the paw that has the clay underneath it, which is going to help push that paw print in. Okay? So we're going to stick the parent between the head of the dog and your behind and your face. Okay? Because the parent doesn't necessarily know it, but they're going to be the shield if the dog does get upset or, decides to turn and look at you like, what are you doing? There's their parent right there to help them to be calm, to have the parent talk to them, rub their chest, let them know that it's as much of a relaxing situation as it can be. So we're going to put the clay on the foam sheet or hard plastic, and we're going to lift up the paw that's going to be printed, and then we're going to slide the foam sheet underneath and then set their paw down where we want it to be and pick up the other front paw or back paw, depending on which side we're going to do, because that's going to put their weight on that paw. Then we can release the paw that we're lifting up, and we're going to we're going to push down on the top of their foot and then grab the side of their leg and push straight down. I have a picture of the application of pressure. So we want to go on the front paw so that you can see their claws, because that's part of their paw print, and then grabbing the front part of their leg and pushing it directly in to get that back pad print is usually the hardest print to get. And so you can see the tip at the bottom. If the parents are complaining about hair or nail prints, just reassure them that that's their dog's unique paw print. I have had a couple of ladies that were very frustrated that their golden doodle had there was hair on their print, and we tried a couple of different times, couldn't get any less hair, and I said, well, if you would like to bring them back with shaved paws, we could do the print without hair, but if they have hair, it's going to be on the print. And they kind of gave me the look like, oh, that would make sense. So they're usually pretty understanding once you tell them it's part of your dog. You just have to get over it. Okay, so here's the video. So it's going to be a pretty quick video. It's the setup. Oh, click the play button to start. Oh, there we go. So we're going to grab the paw prints, or grab the paw, slide the clay under. Notice that the reason that the foam is there is because then you can easily slide it in and out. If you are trying to slide clay on concrete, or this is linoleum, or tile, it's sometimes a little tricky. This particular dog we had food for him. You could bring treats for the dog so that they sit and stand nicely for you. Did that play through for everyone? Because mine stopped about halfway through. Laura, did you see the whole print?
Yes, I did, and I just hit replay. So back through it again. I can see the print where you pulled it to the left.
Okay, great. And so then you're just grabbing the other paw, pushing down, and lift it back out, and it's a flawless print. Push down, give it a nice good push, and then the other side. Mine is going very slow. And Stormy was a very good puppy to hang out. He did not necessarily like the texture of the clay once we pushed it in there. So then it's a nice deep print. And I didn't do anything special to this clay. This was Chesapeake's Clay 500 that I cut off, rolled in my slab roller, and I actually wrapped it in plastic because I rolled it out at noon. I took it home and I did this print at like 7 o'clock at night. So the clay doesn't have to be super wet, but I got a deep, nice print both times, and it's just using the dog's pressure into the clay, which really makes the difference. Okay, so finishing tips. I got this really great tip from Bonnie Corrett pre-Appalachian Trail craziness. To use a metal rib and to smooth towards the print, which creates this little tiny like canyon over the print that creates a little bit of a shadow that makes a nice deep well that really makes the print stand out, and it makes the surface smooth around the print so that it stands out even more. You can stamp names, dates, if they want to say mommy's little boy or whatever. Dog people are crazy. You just have to stamp in whatever they want, because if it says what they want it to say, they'll pay whatever they want. But we want to bisque fire it and then glaze it. Some people try to do paw prints in a single firing, which you can do, but I think paw prints look exponentially better if they are bisque fired first and then glazed. It's just that one extra step that will make people happier and make them come back to get more paw prints, or just to do anything, that they get a good quality product when they come. So the next thing we're going to talk about is networking and marketing. So a lot of people, this is where they struggle, is because they want to do a paw print event, but they don't necessarily know where or what to do. My favorite thing is to team up with a local shelter when they do their adoption days. So example is you charge $15 or $20 or $25, wherever you're located, depending on your market and how much your rent is and all of that business. But for example, charge $15 for the print and you give $5 back to the shelter. So the shelter is doing all the marketing because they want that $5 for every single dog. And I guarantee that if you do it on an adoption day, they're going to say, hey, if you adopted this dog today, you're going to take him home today, you can do a paw print, and then you'll have, because it's their forever home, and they're going to, be all sentimental, and they're like, oh my God, yes, we have to have that. That's why shelter adoption days are my favorite. But my next favorite, I'm actually going to skip the vet one and go down to the dog parks. Dog parks do like Bark in the Park days, or you just connect with a local dog park that is popular, and go and just ask if you can set up a table on a Saturday, and if they can send out an email to all of their people and give them $3 or $5 back for every paw print that you do. Because I'm sure a lot of you guys know this, but clay is dirt cheap, and so there is a ton of profit to be made with clay. And so, if you get them to do a paw print event, and even if you give them $4 back, they're going to do that marketing because they want that money. They want their, tree that they're trying to build, or their bench or whatever, and so they're going to do that marketing for you, which is great because you're tapping into a new, unforeseen market so far, which would be nice. I mean, some people might be people that have been in your store before, but some of them might not be. And so the last one is to find a local vet that you can team up with that will direct people to your store with paw prints if they have a new puppy for first puppy shots when they come in for their puppy shots, or when they have an older dog that is getting close to going over the Rainbow Bridge and they want to have that forever moment. And that's the Jack Sands, his paw print. If you guys notice, on the left side, he only has 3 pads on his left paw because he had cancer, and they took that off. And when they did that, after it was healed, they asked if they could get his print because he was not going to make it. And so, that was a great idea. Groomer, nice work, Nicole. That's awesome. So Nicole just posted, how about groomers, and that would also be fantastic. That's a great idea. And groomers would be great because then you could get your little golden doodle fresh out of the groomers right over to get the paw print that doesn't have the hair on it. So that's a great idea. So the next thing that I want to tell you guys, and to wrap up the event or the webinar, is that dogs are spoiled and take advantage of it. Because if someone says, well, I don't want an ornament, I would like a plaque or of whatever that says, Fluffy is the best dog in the world, then do it, because they're going to pay whatever they want, or whatever you tell them that the cost is. Because I don't know about all of the other dog lovers out there, but I spend $10 every single time I go into any dog store on a toy that lasts about 5 minutes. And so, you're giving them this option to have this beautiful little thing that reminds them of their dog when their dog is passed, or, when they are currently there and they want to show off their fur child to, who is ever there. And if it costs them $20, it costs them $20. That's 2 toys in my world. That's 20 minutes of sanity. So it's definitely a great use of their money, and if you can, sweet talk them into it, the paw prints last forever. I know that Laura was just talking earlier before the paw prints started, or the event started, that she has paw prints of her own. So you can do ornaments, plaques, all sorts of things. So it really is just whatever they would want. So make sure you're bringing slabs that are different sizes. If someone says, I want a 6x6 plaque, that you're able to accommodate them. Are there questions that you guys have?
Anybody have any questions? You can type them in, and Bree will get to them. Those are all great ideas. And I have, my Springer Spaniel is the most mellow, docile, shy dog child in the world. See, I'm one of those people. And she hates her feet. I mean, she cowers when you see people, and she's so friendly looking. People approach her all the time, but she hates her feet touched. So when I had my paw print done with her, they had asked me all of these questions, and actually Hillary at Art Space in Charlotte, North Carolina did my dogs the last time, but they had asked me, does she like her feet touched? And I said no, so they had to really hold her feet down, really kind of, grasp and do it. So I just want to say, don't, based on, the dogs looking like they're friendly and scared, make sure you ask all those questions, because that's a great point.
Yep, exactly right. I have a Boxer Pit Bull mix, and there are people that are terrified of my dog, and she could really care less if you touch her feet. You could touch wherever you want. And so, it's all about asking, and part of it is the parent, the dog parent knowing about their dog and whether or not their dog is okay with the paw print. And that's why it's always great to ask them if they like their feet touched, not, or their nails clipped is also a good option. Like, does your dog have an issue when they get their nails clipped? Because essentially you're doing the same thing, putting them in an uncomfortable position where a stranger is touching their feet.
Now, what I am shocked about is that dogs don't like the feel of clay, some of them, because mine they can get in more mud than you would ever imagine. So.
Yeah, that's true. And some of them, if they're fine with mud, they're usually fine with clay. So Pat had a question. Do you find it better to imprint the name versus painting it on? Pat, I personally find it easier to imprint the name for a couple of different reasons. One, it's a tracking mechanism for me. So I always do I always bring at least 2 people when I'm doing a paw print event. I'm the one that does the paw prints, and Lisa does all of the names and takes all of the money. So she stamps them in as soon as we get done with them, because then we don't have to worry about losing paws and whose paw is whose. And that's one of our tracking mechanisms. But also, I am a terrible painter, and I am the one who finishes them. So I do not have a Julie Cates perfect, flowy beautifulness, and so it is easier for me. But I wouldn't say better. I wouldn't say that it's better. It's just easier, and I think that if you have a lot of free time at your paw print event, let's say it's all day long, then it might be easier for you to stamp them in, because that might be when you have free time. But I don't think that that's a requirement at all. What is the average size of the cutout for a single or a double print? So what I did is we have a bloodhound that walks a lot in front of our store, and so I stopped that dog one day and I said, "Sir, may I investigate your dog's the size of his paw?" So I brought out all of my little cookie cutters that I had, and so I kind of stuck the cookie cutters next to his foot. And then I, made sure that there was enough room left for the name, and then that was my big paw print size. And then I had a smaller size of, like the little purse dogs, I like to call them, like the little fluffy dogs that fit and stuff. And then so that one is, significantly smaller. But it just depends. And then give them the option, because maybe it's a really little dog, but they want it on the big dog print, and they wanted to say something, mommy's fluff ball or something. So, just give them the option. But I like to have 2 different size slabs for different options. But I don't have an average size for you, Deborah, I'm sorry. A question was how thick. I like my paw prints to be thicker, so probably, let me look at a ruler. Probably like a half an inch thick, because if you do get the Great Dane that comes and you only have it, a fourth of an inch thick, then that Dane is going to step right through that slab, which is not going to be what you want to have happen. And so mine run about a half to 3/8. Just sort of depends.
And I do have a Great Dane, and she weighs 165 pounds. She can step through just about anything.
Yes.
All right. Anybody else? We're going to wrap up here. Bree, wow, you did right on 30 minutes.
Man, it's like I planned it.
I know. I know you're in the back room going through this over and over. We're going to wrap up here, and you guys know that Bree is always on our CCSA chat site, so it's on Facebook. So if you still have some questions, you can ask Bree on those. I'm sure she would be happy to walk you through this. And we are recording this, so anybody who attended will get this a copy of this later this afternoon. It usually takes me a few hours to get it uploaded, downloaded, and transferred, so I will send you a copy of this. And it will also be on our website, and Bree's presentation, along with the video, will also be on there as well later this afternoon. So I will send you an email when all that is up and running. And Bree, I just want to thank you so much. You are so knowledgeable, and we appreciate you, CCSA and our members, appreciate all that you do for our members. You are always so helpful. So thank you so much for...
No problem at all. And you guys can also call or email me, send me a carrier pigeon. I sort of have all of my devices on me all of the time. And, I would love to see you guys at a Dirt to Dollars event. I know there are a lot of my peeps are already on here. I'm just scanning through and seeing people, but, it's always great to have you for 2 solid days, because we go over this and 10,000 more things to just make clay easier and more profitable for you, and give you that good knowledge.
And Bree is also teaching at our convention in a couple of weeks.
Yes.
So she will be all over convention. So, all right. Well, that is it. So, everybody, thank you so much. And again, Bree, thank you. And tell Steve, thank you for letting you use his office. I know you booted him out of there, and he was
I did.
there.
It's the quietest place in the entire warehouse.
Well, that's because he doesn't work very hard. So
Yeah.
That's all right. He knows I'm kidding with him.
Yeah.
But thank you, everybody, for attending, and you guys have a great rest of your week, and I hope to see every single one of your smiling faces at convention. And don't worry, Dina has already told me that I cannot bring either of my dogs to convention this year.
I'm bummed.
So,
I would like both of them.
I think we could do.
They could stay in my room. I will volunteer at my room.
We could do paw prints live. I'll have to send this to Dina and tell her.
Oh, do that. Yes, I would totally do that in a heartbeat.
Then everybody can practice with a Great Dane.
Yes. I will tell you that the Great Danes are not the hardest ones. The little teeny tiny fluff balls are the hard ones.
I would imagine.
Yep.
All right. Well, thank you guys, everyone, for coming. Thank you, Bree. And you guys have a great week. Get out there and make some money, and I hope to see you in St. Charles. Thanks.
Yay. Thanks.
Bye-bye.